right. And they were young, you are correct that they were mostly young because children and old people were killed. And so these were just, right, young people.
Okay, other questions? Okay, was there one
Yes.
thing that kept you going, that was your drive during that time?
Just the sweetness of life. I wanted to live. I don't know that it's, when we were in Majdanek in front of the crematorium, just waiting for our turn to be killed. I don't even know if I had hope, but I had the drive to live, and I felt worthy of living. Yes.
Right here. Have you ever gone back to Warsaw or Majdanek since you were there?
A few years ago, I was invited to go with the presidential delegation back to Warsaw for the 70th anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. And it was a very frightening experience at the beginning, but it was a very cathartic and a very, very, very helpful experience. You know, some people say that that you should face that you are most afraid of, because in your mind it's probably even worse than it really is. And in that case, it proved, I don't know that it's universal, but in that case, I was able to say that was then and this is now. So it was a good feeling to see that the city, you know, there were two uprisings actually in Warsaw, one in the ghetto, and then there was an uprising in 1944 again. And the Warsaw was so destroyed, and it's still, Warsaw is still, has a very special place in my mind, because that's where I learned to love the sky and love the trees. It was my country, though I wasn't treated like, I was treated like a stepchild. But it was good to see that, that the city was rebuilt and that it was not on its knees anymore.
Let's see, right there. Okay, she's doing a paper for her class, and she chose the Holocaust to do it on, and she wants to know how you would explain how it felt, how to live through it, to be in it. Is that correct?
I would say that it felt painful, but young people are very strong and very wise. And I know it because I was once young and I once was tested. And when you are, you really never know how strong and smart you are until you are tested. And then you really find all these wonderful resources in you. And so this is what I would say to them, that all the goodness that you need to face, whatever it is in you, and you'll come out on top.
And you know, you're one lucky person that you are going to be able to write in your paper that Holocaust survivor Estelle Laughlin gave you that advice.
And this, by the way, was an excellent question.
Yes. She's wondering if you have any idea what happened to the two women that you switched spots with.
They probably never survived. Very, very few people came out of Majdanek. It was a death camp.
Yes. Did you ever reunite with someone that you knew before the Holocaust, and then is it separate, and then also someone that you met during the Holocaust?
It was either or.
So, oh, either one. So did you reunite with someone you knew before or during?
There isn't one person that I knew in Warsaw that I've ever seen again since I left Warsaw during the uprising. I've searched, not anyone. Have I met any survivors? Yes, I did, and I did. And every survivor's story astounds me and renews my faith in humanity.
Yes, right there. What else did you feel besides sadness? Were you angry?
I felt very angry, and I felt very angry for a long time. And when I came out of the concentration camp, I thought that my anger was tremendous. And then, and I was full of hate for a while. And then I recognized, and my mother said to us too in camp, that if you turn into angry people who do bad things, that would be the worst thing that the Nazis would have done to you, is to make you act like they are acting. But it took me a while to recognize that hate has to stop somewhere. And I have to believe that the same people, if they were faced with the same kind of choices they would have to make, they would make better choices. I truly believe that. I have to believe that.
Questions, others? Right here. She's just wondering more about what happened when she came to America.
Okay, and also my mother. My poetic mother, who in front of the crematorium told us that the world has a conscience. We thought she was out of her mind. My poetic mother, who said that life is sacred and it's noble to fight to stay alive. She was not able to start life over again. My sister and I were young, and life still was new. And my mother, not every survivor could start life over again. She remained a very interesting person, but very lost, very disconnected, and just abandoned in a way. Did I answer your complete?
And you have children and grandchildren?
Oh yeah, I have 3 sons, 7 children, and 3 sons, 7 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren.
And your sons are very successful.
They are
Just
wonderful
tell
people.
us what they do.
Well, they are good people.
But they have good jobs. They also have really good jobs. Why don't you tell them that?
You can brag a little.
Yeah, brag a little.
One is a professor at Berkeley, one is a psychologist, and one is a business person.
Yes.
But they are good people. And that's
They're
what
good
counts.
people.
And that's what counts.
And that's really the most important thing, truly.
Right.
Other question, yes, right there. When you came to the United States,
Yes.
were you able to tell people what you went through?
No. It was very difficult to talk about it. And it took really a very long time for people to be able to listen to it too, and to talk about it. For instance, at the beginning when we came to the United States, and when people would ask about our experiences, people would sometimes respond by saying, we suffered during the war too. We had no nylons and no chocolate. But, I know that it was not, that the response was not what they meant. I think that was awkwardness. I know when I was younger, and I still sometimes repeat the same mistake, is that when somebody confides something very personal, I try to be wise, and I try to make good rather than just be quiet and listen. And people now listen. And I must also say that the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum did an outstanding job in, in talking and making people aware of the time, so people know how to listen to it differently, and we know how it's easier to talk about it too. So the distance of time made the difference.
Now, up in the balcony, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's a great question, Hank. What should he say to people that say the Holocaust never happened?
I can understand that some people will say, I don't know, which is understandable. But the Holocaust is probably the best documented crime. To say I don't know is sensible. If you don't know, you find out. But those who say that didn't happen, it's just the most documented. That there are the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, and all over the world, the Nazis were very good in keeping records. So there are literally miles and miles and miles and miles of records. So just look it up, and you know, the United States Army entered and witnessed and liberated. Right.
Right. All right.
I see a hand up, right?
Okay, oh, thank you. Right here.
You were liberated by the Russian army in Poland.
Yes.
How did you make your way to the United States?
Okay.
The Eastern Bloc.
You'll have to read my book. We wandered for almost 2 years, from country to country, homeless, stateless. We had there was no place to go to. And so eventually we came to the United States. And that was the 2 years of wandering was also sort of an inward wandering too. As we were homeless, but we were free. And freedom has texture. And and we had very low expectations at that point. And eventually we came to the United States, and which also was a journey from not speaking the language, of not being able to truly identify with young people. We had no childhood. And which, by the way, teaching was such a wonderful experience because I could experience vicariously being a young person again. So it was a long physical kind of experience to go through. And you know, these were also our formative years.
That was a good job. Yes.
Do you forgive the people who helped commit this genocide?
Do you forgive the people who committed this genocide?
You know, I'm having a very hard time with a question like that I ask myself constantly. I don't know how I can forgive maybe for myself, and I'm not sure about that. How can I forgive for all the millions of people? But to me, forgiveness is not even a question. To me, the question is understanding. And I truly appreciate the fact that people in Germany are now asking how could it have happened, which was, by the way, what my mother said to my sister and me, that you'll see when she said the world has a conscience, you'll see that if a miracle will happen and will be liberated, you'll see that the Nazis' children and their children's children will be asking, how could it have happened? So to me, I feel that we are all left with the legacy to understand if civilization is to progress. So I cannot deal with forgiving or not forgiving. I definitely feel that there is redemption and understanding. If one makes a mistake, or if one does something horrendous, redemption comes with understanding the gravity of what one has done. So I appreciate the fact that the German people are asking, how could it? To me, that's a path to redemption.
Yes. He's wondering what life was like in the ghetto before the uprising. Were you harassed? What was life like for you?
So then I will repeat, you'll have to read my book. Because it was very complex. We were isolated. We were wearing a star, we were imprisoned. There was a wall that surrounded us. Our dignity, I want to say that our dignity was wounded but not destroyed, because our dignity is our humanity, our thoughts. That's something that nobody can ever reach or destroy. So our humanity remained. There was starvation. The streets were littered with corpses. There was despair. There was hunger to live. There was love towards the people, your family, your friends. We were tested very, very severely.
Right there? She's wondering, did faith and religion play a part in your life? And the other thing is, besides your faith, is after all this suffering, do you see a greater good? And she's saying she sees the joy in you, and she's thinking that that's the greater good, right?
There is no...
I see that as a greater good, but is there a greater good that you see yourself?
But do you see a greater good?
Do I see a greater good? I see no use in suffering. I think you can be very happy without suffering. Much happier. It certainly doesn't make me feel any happier when I think of the people who did not survive.